So I'm back from Daytona on my single longest day trip ever. I did about 350 miles across the state and back. And I learned a few things about my Iron 83 here. So let's get on the road and let's talk about them. All right, let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm out here riding today after I've gotten back from my single day trip to Daytona, where I did my longest single day on this bike. And I did about 350 miles across the state and back in one day. And yeah, I get it. Some of you are out there saying 350 miles, yeah, that's no big deal. You know what? I do like an iron, but every other weekend. But for me, on this particular bike, that was a pretty long distance for me. Some of you might be saying, well, yeah, I can do that in a heartbeat. It's no big deal. 350, that's like my day trip. Me, generally, I only do in and around Tampa and the outskirts here, you know, anywhere from 40 to 100 miles a day. And that's like out and back. And that's generally what I've been doing on my Sportster. Small round town trips, max 100 miles. So for me, doing 350 miles in one day of pure interstate riding was a big deal. You know, so I've seen a lot of questions online about, can an Iron 883 handle a highway? Can it do long distance riding? I think I've proved that yes, you can. I went from Tampa, Florida to Daytona Beach the entire way on the interstate. I definitely learned a few things about the Iron 883 here. Can you do a long journey, long distance trip on a Sportster? And the answer is yeah, of course you can. You know, I found a few issues that I think mostly pertain to the way I have this particular bike set up. Now, your Sportster, whether it be a stock Iron 883 or however you have it set up, will be very different from the way I have this bike set up. I have different suspension, I have a different seat, different bars, I have forward controls. You know, I've configured this bike a lot differently than most out there. So your results may differ than mine. Here's what I've learned about my bike. So when I started on my journey over to Daytona, you know, the first thing I noticed right off the bat when I jumped onto I-4 and heading across the state was it was a particularly windy day leaving Tampa. When I got on the interstate, got up to speed, I noticed that on this bike in particular, I was just getting pushed around a lot on the bike. Every time the wind gusted, you know, I was fighting the gusts a lot. So when I was first getting going, you know, I was like, man, if it's gonna be like this the entire way, man, this is gonna wear on me a lot. As I got further into the state, it got a little bit less. So by the time I got to Orlando, it wasn't too bad. You know, without the fairing on the front of the bike here, staying at a consistent, you know, 70, 75 miles an hour, it took its toll on me as far as the wind buffeting against my chest and my head. It definitely fatigued me after a while. And, you know, on the trip to Daytona wasn't too bad. I kind of got used to it. It could be annoying at times, but, you know, I imagine with a bigger fairing on the bike, it would be a lot easier to deal with that over time. So the other thing I noticed was, you know, right before I left Tampa, got out of the city, I stopped and I filled up the tank. But overall, I had to fill up 3 times in the day. Once when I left, once when I was over there, and once when I was about halfway back from Daytona back to Tampa. A minor annoyance while you're on a Sportster is that the smaller gas tank definitely lends to more fuel stops. But you know what? I use those fuel stops to stretch out because, you know, that was another thing I noticed about my ride was that with this particular configuration on the bike, you know, I've got this solo seat from Biltwell, and I've got the lowered suspension on here. What I've noticed was my ass just started getting really tired. I definitely had to make use of a couple pit stops, get a drink just to stretch out, because this seat is certainly not very comfortable for long distance riding. I'm fine on this for half-hour, 45-minute stretches, but for long periods of time, it definitely wears on me. It's just basically a very bare-bones seat. A lot of times I see people talk online about, can a Sportster handle highway riding? While I was on the highway, I was easily keeping up with traffic. I was easily passing cars and trucks when needed. No issues whatsoever in staying at highway speeds. Now, definitely notice that this bike likes to be at around 70 to 75 miles an hour. It really doesn't seem to like hanging out at 80 plus. You know, the engine is just very buzzy at those speeds. You know, it feels like you always want to be dropping into a 6th gear when you're at those speeds, which I think is a shortcoming of the Sportster, that it is only 5 gears, and the 6th gear would be beneficial for longer highway rides. But unfortunately, you can't do that, so, you know, it is what it is. You know, I rode I-4 all the way through Orlando, past Orlando, into Daytona. Never once had an issue. You know, it's a capable bike, so, you know, if you're considering doing a little highway riding while you're on an Iron 83, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. Not saying Sportsters can't be long distance riders. I just think the way I have this one set up. So if you're looking for a Sportster and, you know, you want to do longer riding, don't let this, like, you know, don't let my experience dissuade you from getting one. I've seen a lot of Sportsters that are set up really cool for long distance, better seating, you know, have some bags on them, fairings, better bars. I think what it comes down to is your personal preference on the way you set your bike up. And I think when I started this journey on the motorcycle, I envisioned less about long distance riding and more about shorter, you know, shorter trips in and around the town here, like what I'm doing now, just enjoying the day and, you know, just riding around with people, or, you know, or just heading to small destinations close by, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 mile trips. But, you know, as I've gotten into it more and more, I think I've learned to really want to go on longer journeys. But, you know, I'm thinking now, maybe I don't get a lowrider S. Maybe I lean more towards something like a Sport Glide, or, you know, Gasp, some sort of bagger. So I'm thinking now, maybe I do go check out a larger bike. And, you know, maybe the second bike isn't similar to the Sportster. Maybe it is a bit bigger. I still love my Sportster. Never going to get rid of this bike. I can't wait to see what it does when I put the 1275 kit in it. So the trip to Daytona was definitely an eye-opening experience for me on the bike here. It definitely taught me a lot about this Sportster and the way I have it built. And you know what? Even though it's not the most comfortable long trip bike, you know, I would probably do it again. You know, you just got to ride your shit, you know? Ride what you got. You know, you just got to make the most of it, and it is what it is. You know what? I had a great time. I wouldn't trade the experience for anything. All right, so you know what? I think the lesson learned here is you just got to ride what you got, and, you know, just enjoy yourself. So anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone who watches. So yeah, hit that like, comment, subscribe button below. Appreciate everyone who subscribes. Stay tuned. New and exciting things coming up. And as always, you keep riding, you stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, peace.